Okay, people, what I'm going to go through today is very quickly performance standard AE1 or analysis and evaluation 1. This one's to do with critically and systematically analysing data and its connections with concepts to formulate logical perceptive conclusions to make relevant predictions. Okay, so the key words are the ones in the different colour, these guys and these ones and these ones, and these are the ones that change throughout the A, the B, the C, the D and the E. So critically and systematically. Critical. If you are critical, what you're actually doing is looking at the evidence that you've actually collected by doing some sort of experiment or some sort of investigation. So if it's critical, you're actually, I was going to say analysing, you're actually looking at the evidence and I guess arguing whether it's valid. Okay, so you're actually looking at the concepts, so the connections with concepts, so the connections from the experiment you've done, the data you collected, and the concepts under investigation. And you're actually looking at whether your evidence is valid in that context. So when we're doing the uniform circular motion experiments, what you're looking at is, whether you're getting the relationship that you're expecting to get, and whether your test, I guess, is fair and valid. Because if it isn't, then you can't really justify the conclusions and all that sort of jazz that you're making. So if you're critical, what you're actually looking at is the evidence itself. So you're actually looking at the evidence that you've been collecting. If you are systematic, what you're actually doing is using some sort of system to go through. So you're not leaving anything out to start with. You are following a clear system. So what you're really doing is looking at, okay, here's evidence of random errors, here's evidence of systematic errors. And after you've pointed out the fact that there's evidence of random errors, you are looking at what those sources of random error may actually be. And you're trying to make connections between what you've investigated and the limitations, I guess, of the investigation that you're actually performing. Being systematic means that you're actually not leaving anything out, you've covered everything, and it's in a nice logical sort of sequence. So, formulating logical perceptive conclusions. So, something that's logical makes sense. Alright, so a logical conclusion will make sense. It will be based on evidence or content, content or concepts, so theory. There may be some sort of equation involved, maybe something like friction from the outside, especially in the conservation of momentum experiments. There's a fair bit of that going on. So when you're formulating some sort of logical conclusion, you're actually, formulating one that makes sense and is based on some sort of content that we've been covering. If it is perceptive, what it actually shows is some sort of insight. So you're not just stating the bloody obvious, you're going a little bit deeper. So it could be with the circular motion experiment, you're actually using the fact that the rubber stopper is hanging just a little bit below horizontal because it isn't rotating perfectly in a flat plane. There must be a little bit of gravity involved, which means that the tension force in the string is also overcoming that gravity, not just the centripetal force. Alright, so it's got some sort of insight into it. It says more than the obvious. Alright, there's something a little bit outside of the content, or it's on the limits, on the upper limits of the content, so you're not missing anything. Okay, the last part, the relevant predictions. if it's relevant, it's related to the content. This will mean that when you're looking at the content and the concepts under investigation, you're able to make some sort of relevant prediction. This is generally not done in the analysis or the conclusion part. This is usually somewhere in the hypothesis or the method that you're actually using to do the experiment. Alright, so sometimes it can be in the analysis part where you're saying, hey, here's the source of error, here's what I would do to try and minimize that source of error, and these are the things that I think it will actually do. Okay, so it's sometimes in here and sometimes in the error analysis part, where you're predicting what the changes would do. Okay, so that's AE1. This bad boy is one of the first two things that I look at when I'm doing moderation. We look at AE1, we look at AE2, and then we look at I1. And if someone's saying, hey, it's an A+ piece of work, and there's not consistently excellent achievement through these performance standards, we have a hard time agreeing with the teacher, unfortunately. All right, come back in a little bit and I'll do AE2 in the same sort of way.